Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It is Setup Tuesday. I've been gone for the past few days. This video is going to be a monster mash of Setup Sunday and Macro Monday. We've got some cross currents here on crypto. This is, of course, Kraken Pro, a proud sponsor of this YouTube channel. And if we're trying to fill out the bull and the bear columns, we do have some cross currents in the market. In the bull column, you got global liquidity rising. You've got CoT positioning. We'll take a look at both of those things. You've got companies buying BTC, fine. You've got companies buying ETH, Sol, Ripple, fine. On the bear side, you've got TA not on your side. You've got seasonality generally weaker in this time frame into Q3. So I'm not bullish or bearish. I'm just trying to make money. So I don't really care what happens. I just want to make sure I'm doing the best that I can in interpreting what's going on here. So don't take it personally when I'm saying there might be a head and shoulders here. It might break down. Now you can tell me that you think head and shoulders are always bullish and they always lead to continuation. Okay, fine. We're talking about probabilities here. What do I know to be true for probabilities of patterns that look like this? Generally, anything that looks like this has trouble going higher. Does that mean it cannot go higher? It does not mean it cannot go higher. It means the proof is on the bulls to push this higher. If this completes, as you might expect, then this is pointing to lower. So that's the first step, identification, and then does it actually happen? And then where does this go, right? So we're still in the baking in the oven phase. This is not completed, obviously. What would this look like completed? It would be a breakdown and below the neckline, somewhere around 102, 103. We'll call it 102 and a half. You measure the depth, lower, it gives you 92, 96. Now, some people are going to say, that's impossible, Josh. It literally cannot happen. There's too many companies buying BTC. Every day, billions is bought. That's what they're going to tell me. That's fine. Look, we're just trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm not going to disagree with you. But when I see this, I can't stay bullish. I can't stay 40x long up here. I just can't. The other thing, like we've been talking about, is this TKC clamp. Anytime you've got a large separation here between the TK lines, and you can measure this, which we've done with the indicator, that gives me pause. It says we're overbought. Momentum has slowed. We lost the Tenkin. Momentum has slowed. We lost the Williams fractal here at 106.7 the other day. Momentum has slowed. The next fractal is 103.1, which is another good level for a head and shoulders breakdown, if we see that. If we do not get a higher high within the next 2 days, we will get a new fractal at 107. That would be the right shoulder negation, which is also the Tenkin. So all this stuff sort of rhymes. But if I had to take a trade today, based on the information I see today, it would be careful up here. I have a lot of cash personally. I am not in the trading wallet. Mega long, as the kids say. So I am effectively 1x short BTC. That may prove to be incorrect. That's fine. I'll live. But looking at this chart, I'm a little concerned at how this is setting up between the cloud and the potential pattern for a reversal. It is there. Losing a Williams fractal, also for the first time since the break up in April, is another notch in the not so bullish column. You do have VPVR support at 96.6. It's going to be hard to pull this down unless there is some event or some news item to pull this down. It is going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult to pull this down and keep it down. But this is a large percentage move potentially that we are lining up for. So if I'm looking at that with BTC, I am also mildly bearish alts, which we will take a look at. As far as the seasonality piece, this is from Canary Capital. I am a portfolio manager at Canary Capital, the head of trading at Canary Capital. I put out these pieces every Monday on Twitter and LinkedIn. You can give us a follow there if you want to talk about being a part of our fund. You can email me, josh@canary.capital. But if we're looking at seasonality since 2020 for Bitcoin, this is the seasonality lull. Usually not so great June, a better July, and then a not so great August and September, setting us up for a great Q4, which is when I think, based on probability, you would suspect alts to do best. Every year in any situation, people always tell you things can go up forever. Well, we didn't actually get 8 weeks of positive, so we didn't actually get another incidence of this. And that may have been even more bearish to see 8 weeks positive because the next week has never been positive. And again, anything is possible. A UFO can come and pluck me out of this seat as I'm recording this video, okay? Anything is possible. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what have we seen, what do the probabilities suggest based on prior evidence. That's it. So yes, I hope things go up forever. Also, by the way, we are, as people keep talking about, either this cycle, again, a lot of people are going to have trouble with this, either this cycle has 100 to 200 days left in it, and then we're in for some bear stuff, or it is the longest cycle that has ever existed in BTC. I'm open to either of those possibilities. But what have we seen historically is a cycle that lasts 1,000 days. And then it takes about 1,000 days to get to a new all-time high. Interesting, right? Some equilibrium there. So if you're turbo bullish or you're turbo bearish, keep in mind, anything is obviously possible. But what is most probable here? If we're looking at the falling wedge break up, that's still in action. That's fine. There's no problems with this. We could pull back to 93 and still be on our way to the eventual target here. This still looks great. Pitchfork still looks great. All that looks fine. I'm not worried about that at all. Daily does look weak. Midterm does look weak. This is the CoT data. The indicator I'm using here on TradingView is commitment of traders total by TradingView. It is long minus futures. I've colored these as bars. You will have to adjust the default view, but this is how they look for me. What you always want to see for anything based on backtesting, and this could be this could be the number of times you saw a pigeon outside your window. If it backtests well, I don't care what it is. I could care less. It makes sense based on positioning. If you see commercials longer, institutions, hedge funds shorter, and that unwinds, that pushes price higher. Okay, all that stuff makes sense in the narrative. But if it backtests well, I don't care. Now, a pigeon outside your window is probably not going to backtest well. But somebody asked me this about the global liquidity metric. I don't care what it is. It makes sense that global liquidity goes higher and it backtests well, but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So in this case, commercial is very long, the longest they've ever been. Not something you see when price goes down, typically. Much like a bull trend 5200 cross, in a bull trend with commercials like this, you see those together. You see a golden cross when we go up. You see commercials long when we go up. We have data on this since before 2021, and that's been the case. The effect has really been strongest post-2022, where you can see pretty obviously in 2022, commercials were basically never net long except for a week or two. And then the effect was very prominent in 2024, in the beginning of the year and in the end of the year. We don't have a lot of data on this, but the guy who does, Jason Shapiro, he looks at this stuff for everything. And even he is calling this out, saying this stuff looks good. He's not a Bitcoin person. He doesn't trade Bitcoin, but he's calling this out. Same thing with Ethereum, even less data, but it is a good sign to see commercials long. Now, is this enough to push price higher? I don't know. We'll take a look at the chart. But if I wanted price to go higher, this is what I would want commercials to look like. I would want commercials to be long. I would want large speculators to be short, so that it is a tailwind for Ethereum as well. And if we're looking at global liquidity, that keeps going higher. And we can get super hyper specific and say, okay, we're in this little pocket here. We're going to go down, then we're going to come up, then we're going to go down again, then we're going to go way up. Sure, I'm here for it. Let's go, right? I'm all about it. I have nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But this is a definite tailwind. This will definitely help push us higher. And it's certainly helping push gold higher. Now, gold to me looks about as good as BTC does. Now, you could say this was a head and shoulders. This is trying to negate a head and shoulders. It has a bearish TK cross coming up. It also has a bunch of cross currents. And you could say, well, there's all this uncertainty all over the world. Why wouldn't people buy gold? Why wouldn't they buy gold here? I don't really care about that personally. I'm just looking at the chart. Best case for gold, you get a bearish TK recross here eventually, and gold goes higher. But what we don't want on the Bitcoin side is essentially what we saw in the first 6 months of 2025, which was gold just went straight up, right? Gold and BTC rarely move together. So if gold is moving up, if this is a launch pad, landing pad for gold to move higher, that is another reason why in the near term it is terrible for BTC. In the long term, it is amazing for BTC. So if gold keeps pushing all-time highs, it is unlikely BTC moves at the same time. And this is just an echo of global liquidity, as is DXY. DXY is an input, US dollar strength or weakness is an input into global liquidity. So if this looks bearish or continues to be bearish, global liquidity is the opposite. It goes higher. This may or may not be some sort of head and shoulders down here. Another tailwind for BTC. I don't think this is a slam dunk bearish chart, but in the grand scheme of things, do you want DXY at 108 if you're bullish, or do you want it below 100? You want it below 100. Absolutely. So it's going to be hard to push BTC down. Absolutely. But if I'm looking at technicals, they don't look good for BTC to me. Again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. That'd be fine. It's not a big deal. If I am wrong, what do I want to see? I want to see a daily close above the Tenkin, which is essentially 107. That's what I want to see. And ideally that comes after an extended shoulder. So 4 days is not enough. We need probably another week of just chop sideways and then a higher high. Then I would be happy with that. Otherwise, the expectation here for me is just we drift lower, we go sideways, but it's going to be hard to push this up based on technicals. MSTR, on the other hand, starting to turn the corner, starting to look better, hasn't quite hit that 333 level. Still in really the middle of the pitchfork, looks fine. No big deal. I'd feel more comfortable below 350. If we get it, great. If we don't, great. Doesn't really matter to me either way. If we look at the Williams fractals, which I don't have on here, currently the Williams fractal is like all the way up here at like 430 or something. I've seen people draw this out as inverted head and shoulders. Sure, I don't hate it. We can talk about turbo mega inverted head and shoulders on BTC as well. I don't hate that. It's just time frame, right? Do we expect this to like make a 1 week little tiny itty bitty shoulder and then break out? I don't. I think it'll take a little bit more time. And do I expect the shoulder to stop here? Or do I expect the shoulder to come down here? To me, it would make more sense. The chart would actually look better if price went down. Not because I'm holding cash and want to get filled. I could care less. Again, I'm going to get filled either way. I'm either going to buy 107 or I'm going to buy 96 or less. That doesn't matter to me. It's just a preference of what I want the chart to look like. So that's certainly preferred. We can also look at the 4 hour here. The 4 hour kind of on the struggle bus, trying to recover. It would be a very good sign if this could break above 107 and hold 107 into next week. Not for nothing, all this started with an Adam and Eve M double top on low time frames. So I'm going to move to Kraken desktop for alts just so we can zip through some of these real quick. ETH looks okay. It looks okay. It's hard for me to judge this in a vacuum by itself because I know what BTC looks like. So it's an if this, then that. If BTC breaks 107 and holds 107, negates the head and shoulders, doesn't break down, yes, I like ETH, but it really depends on BTC. I don't think ETH will move by itself. I really don't. I think this is waiting for BTC, and maybe the unemployment data at the end of the week will be enough to push us bullish, assuming the unemployment data isn't super hot, which I don't think it will be. So maybe you really shouldn't be betting against a print that you don't think is going to be inflationary or look stagflationary, look bearish for the jobs market. We've got GDP prints at near 5% from Atlanta Fed. So maybe it doesn't make sense to be as bearish as I am, but we'll find out. We'll find out. If you go to a lower time frame, so daily cloud here looks great. The only issue here again is the TKC clamp stuff. The bulls will say they will interpret this as a flag or an ascending triangle or pennant, something bullish, right? That's fine. I get it. We can measure that. We can say this to that to this. Target's 3,500. Fine. If this breaks down, you could say, well, there was a kind of a King's Castle head and shoulders here. Maybe we get another peak. I don't know, right? It's ETH, so who the hell knows? But I would rather wait for the resolution of this to do anything. So I like a breakout trade higher. I like buying this lower. I don't like shorting this here. I don't like longing this here. I just like the wait and see approach. Ripple, I don't think there's anything to say or do. It's still in the range. Boring, nothing to do. The cloud is getting thinner there. Moving forward, so it'll look better later on into into Q3, even though that seasonally doesn't make sense. Sol as well, cloud getting thinner. Tried to perk up a little bit, but this is just all a no trade zone. It's just yucky. I see this on anything, doesn't matter what it is. You're in the middle of the cloud. You just wait it out. You wait to see if this can ever get back above the cloud. That's all you care about. That's it. So until we're back above the cloud, doesn't really matter to me. And I think most everything else is just kind of following along. It's just trying to make its way through the cloud. Nothing really sticks out to me in a big way. Maker was one on high time frames. This is like, the Rivian idea. I think this stuff is going to go higher eventually. It may take another 6 months, but I really like how this chart is setting up. I really like this chart against BTC, how it's setting up. And I'll keep talking about this until I'm out of the trade because I think this thing looks great still. It's just coiling, tightening, back into the cloud. Awesome. Nothing else looks like this right now. Nothing. You've got memes breaking down. This is fart coin. Surprise, it's down, whatever it's down, almost 50% at this point. So I don't like memes. I don't like alts. I don't like anything until BTC makes a decision, up or down. ETH looks poised to do best if BTC breaks up, just based on the TA there. Like it's pretty, it's pretty coiled. Sol, I'm not so sure. Sol's still kind of trying to figure out what it wants to be when it grows up. SWI also has this head and shoulders risk that if BTC breaks down, you're going to see SWI break probably below 250. So alts as a group, I really don't think there's too much going on. Sol BTC looked good, doesn't look good now. ETH BTC, just middle of the cloud, really nothing that I feel confident enough to take a trade on. That's really what this is about. So what? You think you're bearish, you're bullish, whatever. I'm confident enough on BTC, bearish enough that I've seen this movie before, that our downside risk is decently lower. That's it. What happens, happens. I don't really care. We will let the chips fall as they may. Lastly here, SPY. This is another curious looking chart, right? Because we are almost back to all-time highs. Almost back to all-time highs. Now this is, I'd say, more overbought than even BTC. This is the global standard for anything, right? Like, look at, it's trading like a meme coin. It still is. That's fine. It is what it is. But you've got, again, the TKC clamp. You're very far away from the mean reversion. You have an inverted head and shoulders on your side, and you probably have a nested lower time frame inverted head and shoulders here. I'm sure we haven't broken Williams fractals to the downside here. This looks very good for continuation. So it's going to be interesting if BTC breaks down in the face of this. Now that sort of happened back here, if you'll remember, into 2025, especially on the Qs. We were setting up for this period here, December into February. We were setting up for bullish continuation. Orange Man opened his mouth and we went lower, but BTC actually went lower first. So it's going to be interesting if this stuff doesn't quite hit all-time highs and pulls back. I don't know. I don't know what the read is on the charts as a group, but individually, these look way more bullish to me. It's just hard to take this seriously. Again, so you're bullish or bearish, who cares? What are you going to do here? Are you going to buy, sell, or hold? Are you going to add to positions? Are you going to reduce? This looks like it has plenty of momentum in it to me. Still looks very good. So I like trailing stop losses on the SPY and the Qs, breakout trade on ETH, wait and see on BTC. Then lastly, Truflation came back down here. It hit around 210 and it's back down to 1.9. We'll see how this looks when the inflation stuff or when the tariff stuff finally settles down. But it doesn't quite look like we're going to get runaway inflation off the tariffs. That's all for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.